Hello and welcome to our tutorial series on using CorelDRAW. In our intro here, we're just going to cover some basic fundamentals about computer graphics. One of the first things we want to understand about computer graphics is that there are two basic fundamental types of graphics. There are raster-based graphics and vector-based graphics. CorelDRAW is a vector-based graphic. A vector-based graphic works using nodes or anchor points and lines. An anchor point is basically just a point, and using our bezier tool. This is our drawing tool. We click and it places an anchor point, and the next place we click it places another anchor point, and it puts a line between them. This line is just a mathematical calculation between this point and this point. And if we place another one, this time if we click and drag as we place our anchor point, it puts handles on the anchor point, which allow us to modify the line that we just created. And so now we can add a curve. We can put a curve on this line. And if we add another anchor point and click and drag, okay. Delete that one. We'll start a new one here. So we put in an anchor point, put another anchor point, and it puts a line between it. If we add another one and click and drag, it puts a line, and it adds with the handles. We can modify that line, add a curve. Do another one. We can add more curve to it. And if we place our cursor over our originating anchor point, you notice the icon by the cursor changes. This tells us that if we click now, it will connect these 2 points. It will close this path. In Illustrator, this is a path. In Corel, this is a curve. They're the same thing. They're just different companies have different names for them. We have a curve. We can fill the curve now that it's closed. Now that it's a closed curve or path, if we click on a color, it will add a fill to it. And this is this drawing is a vector-based drawing. This whole thing, the lines are just mathematical calculations that describe this line and the curves to create them. In a vector-based program, graphic, empty space out here where there's nothing, where there are no objects, there's nothing there. There's nothing there to add to the file size. And we're not too terribly limited to how big we can make this object. I can make this object 500 or 50. If I can make it go 500, but it starts getting really big. Let's say 50 inches by 50 inches. And zoom, there we have it. There's 50 inches by 50. There's our piece of paper. Go ahead and delete that. Now let's have a look at raster-based graphics quickly. Bring Photoshop up, and we're gonna bring up a document 400 pixels by 400 pixels at 72 dpi. Now I'm gonna put a white background in there. I'm going to add a layer to it. going to do some drawing on here. In a raster-based graphic, there's no such thing as empty space. The white space in there is just white pixels. Everything in here is data in the file size. This file is, even though this is really a small image, is much bigger than our Corel file that we were creating a while ago. Like I say, everything in here is contributes to file size. There's no such thing as empty space in a raster-based graphic, and that was the big thing we wanted to cover. If we looked at these, if we saved these and looked at the file sizes of the two, the 500-inch vector-based graphic, and the here we have a graphic that is well, there's 1, 2. This is almost 2.5 inches. This file is much bigger than the vector-based Corel file. However, this is the type of file that you will need to use for the web. So Corel, the huge advantage to Corel is that it is much faster to work with. You can create things in Corel. However, once they're created, once you create your vector-based graphic in Corel, let's just do something here real quick. I can save this to I can save this as, I can export it as a Photoshop file. I can export it as a Photoshop file. And any number of file types, a JPEG file, a GIF file, a TIFF, a bitmap, any number of file types I can save it as, which will work perfectly fine for web graphics. And I can create my graphic far faster, and we'll do that in our next video. I can create the graphic so much faster in Corel and do some pretty fancy stuff with it in Corel. As you do work more with this kind of software, you will find that you do in fact often take something created in Corel, export it as a Photoshop file, and then expand on it, take it to much higher levels in Photoshop. It just depends on what your ultimate goal is. For a lot of stuff, for banners and that kind of stuff, Corel is all you need. And that's the main thing we wanted to cover in our beginning tutorial, is to get lay some groundwork for have a basic understanding of the types of graphics that you need for working with web graphics. And thank you for watching our video, and be sure to check out the other videos in this tutorial. We're going to cover a lot of very useful and helpful information, especially if you're new to building graphics for use on the internet. So please come back, please check out the rest of our videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.